No, Jay Hayes.
At about 2 minutes. Anyway, we missed you in Jopet, which
Well, we
we
mentioned,
missed you.
yes, she did. Is this the interim? Okay, interim.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
How are you?
Oh, I'm good.
I just like skim through some.
I could. How are you, Beverly? As are we all. How are you, Jerry? You hanging in there?
I was in Boulder.
Were you really?
Yeah, I could.
Hi there, Kay. How are you?
You, ma'am.
Great.
Andrea.
Well, I think
How are you?
I met with him on Saturday. And, had dinner with him. Came down.
Jump around.
And he knows his stuff very well. So
I'm gonna let you totally
You know,
be parliamentarian.
he texted me and said that
How are you today?
Yes.
Number 9. This one goes to the comments.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. Yeah, close mine. I kind of pre-booked out. We got you.
okay, so after
9.
after 9,
Oh.
jump to 19 and 20.
Is it something on the agenda?
Yes, I'm number 25.
Oh, right here. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. So
And this one would be.
This band didn't come with us.
You been all right?
Yeah.
gotcha.
Long time no see.
How's Jopet?
Yes.
She's been all right, I
As
guess.
long as I know where to go.
Had a few
How's
things
she
that
doing?
she's.
Andrea, this
Probably
is
getting
Mayor
in.
Judge Johnson.
Oh.
Just joking.
Nice to meet you.
Interim
Have you
manager,
tried to
Andrea. Miss
Dr.
Andrea.
D's place?
He was the dentist.
No.
Clinic.
You're 1 year old.
His dad's a dentist. I really like him.
Well, it's getting into work.
going.
Remember spending time with me and we were trying to patch the,
I like him.
we made some.
I did not know his dad was a dentist. He's so young. He's young. It's hard to get into.
Early. Y'all go swim.
Isn't that something?
My dad.
When you're
I
two
would say that was
persons,
83.
you just listen.
No. I would say that was 83 or 84. 83.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we will begin our city council meeting. And so, Councilman Roger, will you give the invocation, please?
Our Heavenly Father, again, Lord, we thank you for the many blessings you've given us throughout the years. I pray, Heavenly Father, that in our community, in our state, in the world, that so many problems, so many things that's going on, Heavenly Father, I just pray for your intervention in these problems. Heavenly Father, tonight as we discuss the city's ordinances, I pray, Heavenly Father, you'll be with us and we make the right decisions. I ask all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. The Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Ms. Julie, can we have a roll call?
Mayor Hickman,
Here?
Vice Mayor Morgan,
Here.
Councilmember Barton,
Here,
Councilmember Gully,
Here.
and Councilmember Warren.
Okay, we have an agenda, so we'll begin. We'll begin with the consent agenda. And the consent agenda, all matters listed on the consent agenda are routine by the city council and will be enacted by one motion. Therefore, there will not be a separate discussion of these items. However, if a discussion is desired, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. The item will then be placed in its proper order on the regular meeting agenda and will be considered at that time. Item 5, approval of the minutes. A, council meeting April 7th, 2025. Special call council meeting April 15th, 2025. Approval of the March treasurer's report. Item 7, approval of the April 2025 payroll figures for the general fund in the amount of $102,476.34. And item 8, receipt of April claims, City of Eufaula. Do I hear a motion to approve?
I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Second. Mayor Hickman,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Morgan,
Yes.
Councilmember Barton,
Yes.
Councilmember Gully,
Yes.
and Mr. Morris in here.
Okay, consent agenda passes. Moving on to item number 9. Consideration of acceptance, approval, adoption, rejection, amendment, and/or postponement to approve the renaming of First Street between Selman Road and Pine Avenue to bear the name of Bridges Street in honor of the late Max Bridges and Randy Bridges, and to proclaim said roadway name change. You have anything, Ms. Andre?
So, Mr. Mayor, you probably know more about this particular
Yeah.
request, and I'll gladly let you
Okay.
speak to it.
Yes, just for the, Randy Bridges and Max Bridges, they owned that property there. And so in honor of their legacy, I felt that it was a great opportunity to name that and rename that Bridges Street. And it's very exciting. And so I hope that in between Selman Road and Pine Avenue, it's kind of the end of First Street there. So where the old Family Dollar and bank in between that road right there. So, do I- yes.
I make a motion that we rename Bridges Street in honor of late Max Bridges and Randy Bridges.
I second.
Mayor Hickman,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Morgan,
Yes.
Councilmember Gully,
Yes.
and Councilmember Barton.
Yes.
Okay. That motion passes. So that is exciting. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yes.
Do that.
Yes. And so with that, we do have a proclamation. And so in honor of that, we will be proclaiming that the Bridges Family Day in the city of Eufaula. And so, and this is again in honor of Randy Bridges. And so I am very excited. So, yes, I will sign this right here, right now. Okay. So there we go. So you're welcome, guys. Okay.
Pictures to come.
Pictures to come, that's right. So by the power of the chair, I ask that the city council move to items numbered 19 and 20 before returning to item number 10 and subsequent items. So, all right. So jumping to item number 19 will be consideration of acceptance, approval, adoption, rejection, amendment, and/or postponement to approve a concessionaire agreement between the City of Eufaula and Extreme RV Resort LLC, subject to U.S. Army Corps of Engineers approval for the Extreme RV leasehold estate and properly currently occupied by Extreme RV Resort LLC. Gentlemen, do you have something? Would you like to come up?
I just wanted to introduce you guys. I think we kind of did a little bit in the front, but just to the New Haven Marinas, Josh and Dallas, who's going to be the new owners taking over. So we'll still be involved. We'll still have the resort, but they're going to take over the marina in Jellystone Park.
Okay.
So we're just here to ask y'all's permission, and if there's any questions you guys got, they're here to answer.
Is it, Ms. Andre?
So, thank you so much for coming up and joining us for the meeting.
ma'am.
It is part of the sale agreement for those three properties, for Jellystone Park, for the Eufaula Marina, and of course for the restaurant itself. that this item was brought to the City Commission. The first of those two items would be number 19, which would be a new concession agreement with Extreme RV Resorts, just by virtue of all of these properties were tied together with a previous amendment. And so the cleanest way to separate those properties is to have new lease agreements for them. Mr. Ron Henry is here for item number 19. Again, this is a standard lease agreement, concession lease agreement under the big umbrella agreement that the city of Eufaula has with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. It utilizes the entirety of the time that is available with potential extensions should we receive such an extension ourselves from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. There is a nominal fee associated with that lease agreement just by virtue of Extreme RVs brings a whole lot of hotel motel tax and other sales tax receipts to the city. And so it is beneficial for the city to enter into such an agreement. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
I mean, I don't have any at this time. Do you?
No, I don't. Just excited.
Yes.
Excited.
So we're
for
very
you.
excited.
Yeah.
You know, we appreciate everything Ron has done for our community,
Yes.
and it's been tremendous. And so we're very thankful that, you know, he's met with y'all as well. And so it sounds like good things are happening at Extreme RV. And so do I hear a motion to approve?
Motion to approve?
I second.
Mayor Hickman,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Morgan,
Yes.
Councilmember Barton,
Yes.
and Councilmember Gully.
Yes.
Okay. Item 19 passes. So moving to item 20, consideration, acceptance, approval, adoption, rejection, amendment, and/or proposal to approve a concessionary agreement between the City of Eufaula, New Havens Holdings LLC, or any of its affiliates or designees, subject to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers approval for Jellystone Park, Eufaula Cove Marina, and Captain John's leasehold estates and property formerly occupied by Extreme RV and Resort LLC. Do I hear a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve item 20.
Second?
Mayor Hickman,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Morgan,
Yes.
Councilmember Gully,
Yes.
and Councilmember Barton.
Yes.
All right, guys, thank you very much. We
Thank
look
y'all
forward to
very
it. Yeah,
much.
thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, same here. Thank you, Josh.
Looking forward to it.
Thank you
Yes.
so much. Andre, thank you for your help. Anything else you need, just let us know.
We'll do
Yeah.
just signatures for this board.
living here?
No, we live in Dallas.
Dallas, okay.
But
You'll have a
actually
manager.
will be the closest marina to our home
Okay.
in
Oh,
our
so
office.
this is where you're going to be hanging out.
We'll be hanging out here all the time. We're already talking about things we can do to bring people in, so
Well, good.
Yeah,
Nice
that's
having
great.
you.
That's great.
we're gonna head out to Dallas.
All right.
Okay, thank you
Thank
for
you, guys.
coming. Yeah.
Okay. Now returning to item number 10. Consideration of acceptance, approval, adoption, rejection, amendment, and/or postponement of budget amendment number 2, transferring $65,000 from the Eufaula Economic Development Authority budgetary fund balance into the Eufaula Economic Development Authority professional services account for the use in fiscal year 2024 through 2025. Ms. Andre.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In the absence of our city treasurer, I will be presenting on this particular item. The city has been supporting in concert with Vision Eufaula several fishing tournaments that bring attention to the city of Eufaula itself. However, some of these fishing tournaments, we had less sponsorships than originally anticipated, and so there was a shortfall in the money that is required to put these fishing tournaments on. In order to cover that shortfall, the budget transfer is required, and that is why it is being brought to the city council.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we approve the transferring of $65,000.
I second.
Mayor Hickman,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Morgan,
Yes.
Councilmember Gully,
Yes.
and Councilmember Barton.
Yes.
Okay, that motion passes. Moving on to item number 11, consideration of acceptance, approval, adoption, rejection, amendment, and/or postponement of contract agreement with Fraternal Order of Police Lodge number 207 for fiscal year 2025 through 2026. Sandra.
Mr. Mayor, the previous city manager had started the negotiations with the Fraternal Order of Police and our lodge number 207 here. And most of the agreements and article changes had already been agreed to when I came on board. I looked at the overall proposed collective bargaining agreement, and there are some changes that are proposed. In Article 6, there should be an exemption for declared emergency situations that would allow us to then order certain work hours and times and operations just in order to be able to help with the disaster. There is a new Article 31, which speaks of a Me Too clause should there ever be a citywide cost of living adjustment or any kind of pay enhancements, that those will also be extended to the police department and the union members there. Not individual merit increases, but truly citywide enhancements of pay. A new Article 34 that would establish into the CBA, the alcohol and controlled substance abuse testing policy that was actually passed by the city in 2020. It was missed as part of previous CBAs it was adopted via a memorandum of understanding, but then not included in subsequent CBAs. So this rectifies that situation and just simply refers to the policy that has already been in place. And then, of course, there is a new pay scale. In Appendix A, you will see that there is a proposed $2 increase for all ranks, across all ranks. What the city has done is we checked with our neighboring communities and looked at where those are in terms of compensating their law enforcement officers for service provided to the city. And we were appropriately low. And so these $2 get us up to where Stigler is, where the county currently is. And I know that Chakota just had an item on the agenda, but they did not move forward with that increase. So it puts us in a good realm. Otherwise, we would have had law enforcement officers essentially walk off to other departments where they can make a living.
Okay.
So I'd be happy to answer any questions you have. It was a very good and very friendly negotiation. And again, no issues and just some cleanup. And then, of course, the moderate increase within our budget resources.
Okay. Any discussions on that?
No.
Okay. But we are thankful for our police, and the work that they do. Do I hear a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve item 11.
I'd like to second that.
Mayor Hickman,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Morgan,
Yes.
Councilmember Gully,
Yes.
and Councilmember Barton.
Yes.
Okay. That motion approves. Moving on to item number 12, consideration of acceptance, approval, adoption, rejection, amendment, and/or postponement of Resolution 25-5-1, adopting a DOT alcohol and drug testing policy. Ms. Andrea?
Mr. Mayor, thank you. In reviewing the current non-DOT alcohol and controlled substance abuse testing and procedures policy, I noticed that we currently do not have anything that pertains to DOT regulations, Department of Transportation regulations. It is imperative that the city has those specific set of regulations for employees that are covered by the DOT, because there are very stringent requirements that are passed down immediately from the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, and we do not want to be out of compliance. This drug testing policy is specifically geared to provide full compliance with FMCSA regulations, and so it is relatively short. It is not as expansive as the other drug testing policy we have for non-DOT, but it serves its purpose very well once adopted. There are a couple of additional steps that the city will have to undertake in order that it serves its purpose very well once adopted. There are a couple of additional steps that the city will have to undertake in order to come into full compliance, which is the clearinghouse that will be established. But once we have that in place, we are in a very good spot. So again, this is some cleanup. It is a policy that should have been on the books when we first adopted the other one. We're doing it now.
Okay. Well, that's fantastic. That is fantastic. Thank you. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Motion to approve the DOT alcohol and drug testing policy.
A second.
Mayor Hickman,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Morgan,
Yes.
Councilmember Gully,
Yes.
and Councilmember Barton.
Yes.
Okay, moving on to item number 13, consideration of acceptance, approval, adoption, rejection, amendment, and/or postponement of Resolution 22-5-2, adopting a revised personnel manual.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
thank you. Again, in reviewing the city's current policy, I also looked at the personnel manual in detail. It had been previously adopted in June of 2020. There have been some updates at the federal level, and so this is essentially a revised version that includes the latest and greatest anti-harassment as well as other clauses that we currently did not have in our personnel manual. It has also been shared with the union members with the Fraternal Order of Police by virtue of the current collective bargaining agreement we have with them. Anything that pertains to their work environment has to be shared no less than 10 days ahead of adoption. And so I received no negative feedback from the FOP on this personnel manual, and it is ready for adoption.
I read through it and it did look very good. So thank you for working on that. Do I hear a motion to approve the new personnel manual?
I make a motion to approve the new personnel manual.
A second?
Mayor Hickman,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Morgan,
Yes.
Councilmember Gully,
Yes.
and Councilmember Barton.
Yes.
Okay, that item passes. Moving on to number 14, consideration of acceptance, approval, adoption, rejection, amendment, and/or postponement to approve a Resolution 25-5-3, adopting a revised purchasing manual.
Mr. Mayor, very similar to what happened with the personnel manual, there have been several updates to state law since the purchasing manual for the city of Eufaula was last adopted in 2018. So this, unlike the personnel manual, though, is a complete rewrite in order to provide additional clarity because there were some differing thresholds in various different portions of the previous purchasing manual. And so it was completely reformatted, restyled. The big takeaways for the new purchasing manual, if it was to be adopted, are additional threshold changes. Before, it was a relatively low threshold for both department head authority and then also for the city manager authority, which is really not workable in an environment, in the environment we are in today, because I can tell you most purchases are no longer under $25,000. By virtue of the surety bond that a city manager has to carry, everything under 50,000 would be covered. And so my proposal to the city council would be to go up to that limit. Anything that is less than 50,000 could
Let's just say
be done
50,000.
so long as it was appropriately included in the original budget. Anything that is beyond what was budgeted for still has to come to the council. So again, those threshold changes are front and center, and then there is some additional cleanup just by virtue of our city codes had some ancillary language that did not comply with the 2018 codes. And so as part of the adoption of the new purchasing manual, there should be a separate motion to also approve ordinance number 25-5-1 to update our city municipal code in order to have those two work in complement with one another.
Ms. Andre, can you just discuss how important this is for a city and how it protects a city as well?
Absolutely. The city manager works within the budget after approval by the city council. And so everything that has been listed in the budget, the city manager can move forward with these thresholds, which reduces the burden to the city council while providing that oversight. Because if you didn't approve it in the budget, it does not get to move forward. At the same time, it streamlines the purchasing process because, for example, and we'll get to a later item, the fireworks contract, which I know is very much desired. It is something that I, as an interim city manager under the current purchasing policies, cannot approve, even though it was included in the budget because it bumped up against the $25,000 limit. So even though you authorized it with a budget approval, it cannot move forward until you see it again. And so it is not effective, it is not efficient for either party.
Gotcha. Thank you. Do I hear a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve Resolution 2553.
A second?
Mayor Hickman,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Morgan,
Yes.
Councilmember Gully,
Yes.
and Councilmember Barton.
Yes.
Okay. 14A, resolution passes. Moving on to 14B. Ordinance 25-5-1, amending the City of Eufaula, Oklahoma Municipal Code, specifically Part 7, Finance and Taxation, Chapter 1, Finance and Budget Administration, Sections 7 through 106 through 7 through 108 to comply with the revised purchasing manual. So this just sounds like a ordinance to approve and apply. So do I hear a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve Ordinance 2551.
I second.
Mayor Hickman,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Morgan,
Yes.
Councilmember Gully,
Yes.
and Councilmember Barton.
Yes.
Okay. 14C, emergency clause. So this is to apply it.
I make the motion to approve C, emergency clause.
I second.
Mayor Hickman,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Morgan,
Yes.
Councilmember Gully,
Yes.
and Councilmember Barton.
Yes.
Moving on to line item 15, consideration of acceptance, approval, adoption, rejection, amendment, and/or postponement of resolution 25-5-4, adopting a revised surplus policy. Ms.
Thank you.
Andrea.
Yes. Mr. Mayor and council members, in our current municipal code, we do have a section that specifically speaks to the procedures for surplusing items that have a value of $5,000 or more. But there is no guidance in the current municipal code of what to do with items that have a lesser value. And so this particular surplus policy fills that gap. So department heads and the city manager have a pathway to surplus items that have a lesser value and would not make their way to the city council. So you will still get to see big ticket items such as the old city hall or a vehicle that is no longer of use to the city and could be sold. But some of the smaller things like a desk, we don't have to bring that to you. Again, this is for effectivity and
Yes,
efficacy.
I do appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, do I hear a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve 25-5-4, adopting a revised surplus policy.
I second.
Mayor Hickman,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Morgan,
Yes.
Councilmember Gully,
Yes.
and Councilmember Barton.
Yes.
Okay, moving on to line item number 16, consideration of acceptance, approval, adoption, rejection, amendment, and/or postponement of resolution 25-5-5, adopting a credit card policy. Ms. Andrea?
This may sound terribly familiar. I do remember seeing that on last council meeting. I apologize. The adoption resolution had an error in it and actually said budget policies instead of city credit card policy. So by virtue of the adoption resolution being incorrect, this item has to be brought back to the city council. So it is still the very same city credit card policy that you've already seen, but this time with the right adoption resolution.
Well, that sounds
My
great.
apologies.
I make the motion to approve 25-5-5.
I second.
Mayor Hickman,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Morgan,
Yes.
Councilmember Gully,
Yes.
Councilmember Barton.
Yes.
Okay. Line item number 17, consideration of acceptance, approval, adoption, rejection, amendment, and/or postponement to approve ordinance 25-5-2, amending the City of Eufaula, Oklahoma Municipal Code, specifically Part 17, Utilities, Chapter 2, Water System and Services, Section 17-206, Water Rates, and amending Chapter 3, Sewer System and Use, Section 17-325, User Charge System for Water wastewater to annually adjust the minimum water and sewer rates consistent with the increase in the consumer price index published by the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. Ms. Andrea.
So I do understand that this is a relatively sensitive topic. City water and sewer rates, I know that in 2018, there was significant movement on those just by virtue of those rates had been held artificially low. And the Public Works Authority fund was artificially propped up with general fund money. The then city manager had laid out a 5-year plan to get us up to where we needed to be in terms of water and sewer rates. Because what your Public Works Authority fund is, it is an enterprise fund and should sustain itself. Just by virtue of it has fees associated with the delivery of water, and it also has fees associated with the collection and treatment of wastewater. Again, as an enterprise fund, you should take in as much as you need in order to continue with the system, not just treating the water, both for consumption as well as after usage, but also to maintain the overall infrastructure system, as in the treatment plants, all of the water and sewer lines in the ground. That is what an enterprise fund is designed for. With these 7 years worth of increases, which were very significant, I understand, we have now gotten to a level of where the system is sustainable so long as we continue to keep up with annual inflation. And what was contained in this particular agenda item is the CPI that clearly details how much the prices went up in calendar year 2024. As you know, the water and sewer services the city provides, it's not just the infrastructure, it's also the trucks. It's the trucks that have to be maintained, fueled. It is the actual supplies that are required for mainline breaks or for breaks for upkeep of our lift stations, and all of that is relatively costly. I can tell you that in the almost 3 decades that I've been doing infrastructure planning and implementation, since 2020, I have never seen cost increases such as this. The price of the supplies that we need in order to keep the system afloat and functioning over the last few years, instead of just increasing by 5% year over year, I've seen it double and triple. So you can no longer get your PVC pipes for just a few percentage points more. No, you're paying double the price, and in some cases even more. As a matter of fact, we have in the new budget, we will have some money set aside for the repair of one of our lift stations, and under 200,000, nothing goes. So it is not well understood just how expensive this infrastructure in the ground is. And of course, it's not visible until it bubbles through the ground, and then we have an issue. So what this particular agenda item would implement would be to look at the cost of inflation every single year and simply adjust our water and sewer rates to keep up with that, because we are at a good point where the system is self-sustaining. But if we do not look at annual increases, again, you all go shopping for milk and eggs are a peculiarity this time, but our prices go up across the board, and it's the same for the water and sewer treatment and distribution. The CPI itself, water and sewer maintenance, has gone up by 5.6%. But other cost components of what we do as the city provides water and sewer to our residents, some of those components were less. Motor vehicle parts and equipment, for example, has only gone up by 1.2%. We all know that the fuel is actually cheaper now than it was last year, but the overall cost increase is still there. And so staff is proposing to increase water and sewer rates by 2.9% in order to keep up with that inflation. It does not give us any grand projects. It just holds us at the level of the enterprise fund being able to sustain itself. And so I would hate to go back to 2018 conditions where without general fund supplements, the enterprise fund would have been bankrupt.
Okay. And so this is, very important that we consider this, is what you're saying, because we're at a great spot with our infrastructure with this. I think one of the things over the time is we didn't keep up with the funds of it. So it is breaking even? Is that what or do we still move money?
We're moving a very small amount of general fund now over, a very small amount.
Okay.
I'd like to say something. I was on the city council when we adopted the CIP, which was years ago. My understanding was DEQ contacted us that we were going to have to do something. We were losing from the city water plant to the homes. We were losing 55% of the water. 55% of the water wasn't getting to the homes or businesses. So we didn't have a choice because DEQ says, we'll come in here, we'll fix it, and we'll set the rates. So that's the reason why we come up with the CIP to try to, and it's working. I believe before Jeb left, I think I asked him, and I think he said we were losing maybe 10%.
Which is pretty normal. Those losses can happen as soon as you hit 25, 30% or 40%, and 55 is very, very large because that is treated water for which you expended money on chemicals, and it just goes into the ground. It does not serve any purpose other than watering plants and grass and trees.
So let me just be clear. So we're thinking 2.9% annual increase in our water and sewer, which is averages what basically for a household of 4, would you say, monthly?
I do not have a household of 4 because it all depends on usage. What I can tell you is how much that is, and it actually includes a fee schedule, so you can see the base amount and how that would change. And of course, there's a whole bunch of pages of CPI with things marked up, so it would be easier to step through. What it does, it takes our sewer base rate up by 25 cents, and it increases our, let me rephrase that. Our sewer rate goes up, the base rate goes up by 35 cents. And then for every subsequent 1,000 gallons of sewage, it goes up by 25 because that rate was still very low. On the water side, the increase is slightly higher. It sits right there at about $2 per account, plus 20 cents for every 1,000 gallons of usage beyond the base. And so everybody will see at least that $2.50 per month increase. But if there is a very high usage on the account, then that increase would be higher. And I hope that answers your question.
It does. I have another question.
Mhm.
When was our last increase?
It was 2024, but I think it was November.
Recently?
Yeah.
And when would the new increase take effect annually?
It would take effect with the new fiscal year, so it would start on July 1st.
So I'm never for increasing utility cost. Our community isn't a high-income community, and the last 7 years, we've had increases every year that have been pretty significant. I know I have 1 to 2 people in my household every month, and my water bill's almost $150. That's a lot. And I don't get a annual increase in my paycheck generally, unless my business is doing well. So I'm not against it, but I feel like maybe we open it up to the public a little more and have some input if people are actually willing. Would they be willing to pay that happily?
If I may add, and to go back to something I said earlier, it is to be an enterprise fund that sustains itself. And if there are not regular increases over time, then we will very, very quickly fall back to the 2018 levels where the fund cannot sustain the system the city is meant to operate. And it is a core service that we provide. So I do understand your concerns, because there is a significant number of households with relatively low income for whom this is a burden.
Yes.
I do understand that.
Do you know how we fall in our water and sewer rates in relation to, say, Stigler or Shakota or
So
Henrietta?
Stigler is a little less than what we're currently charging. Chakota and Warner is considerably less, because those rates are held artificially low. So they are more akin to what we used to be in 2018.
I have a question. Would we, that this, basically this cost of living increase, do we have any other, are we through with the other rate increases that we had voted for? That's done. So this would not be on top of any other rates. It would just be each year we would look at it in comparison to how inflation has affected us.
That is correct.
Okay, so we are voting on this every year. It's not in perpetuity, so, okay.
So the way the ordinance would update the city code, it would require an annual review and then an appropriate adjustment of the fee schedule. So it is not set in stone, because there may be some years, I'm hoping that the supply chain will eventually recover, but since COVID, it has not, which is kind of baffling. There may or may not be a year where there may not be any necessity for an inflation increase.
Okay.
We have a person that would like to speak, Ms. Beverly Roboto, on this item.
The increase last year, 2024, was the end of the 7-year. And if we're through paying for the sewer and water, where is that money going to go now? And why do we have to have another increase? And it's not fair for single households like mine and a lot of my neighbors, then all over Eufaula, there may be one person in the household. We have to pay minimum 2,000 units or however it's done. I don't use that much. I was out of town for 2 or 3 months, and it showed 0 usage, but I still had to pay minimum. That's not fair. That's not right to keep charging us for water. And then you have the tower on the hill, on Dorm Hill where I live. Twice last month, I called the city. Well, it was after hours, so I called the fire department. That water leaks. It runs down the street. So why isn't that fixed instead of keep charging us for more water and over? You need to fix what is broken. And the tower on the hill, I've lived in my house for 17 years. Oh, it's going to be fixed. It's going to be fixed. It needs to be fixed. It's ridiculous, the water that runs down my street. And twice last month I called. So do I think that it should be reconsidered? Yeah, and I would like to know if we're through paying for the water and sewer and our increases over the last, what is it, 7 years? Where is that money gonna go now? If we're not paying the bill, if we're not paying for that, why would we need an increase? Food for thought. And I really think it should be reconsidered.
Members of the city council, the increases that were instituted since 2018 largely pay for the loans that were taken out in order to fix the system. And several of those loans go for several more decades. So we do have to hold on to that money in order to be able to pay the loans back that were received from the Oklahoma Water Resources Board.
I would just like to say too, regarding this, can you say also, so the money that we have received from the increases over the last 7 years goes for the infrastructure, continue the infrastructure, and now what you're saying too is for the loans that have paid for, so we don't have dirty water. And our costs to actually continue making sure we don't have dirty water, or if a lift station goes down, that's how much? $200,000 plus.
One lift station is, yes, the repair of the motors is.
Do we have that money like right now to where if like a lift station went out, that this enterprise could pay for itself to actually do that?
Not at this time, but it will in next year's budget because that repair has been budgeted for.
So we would have to take money then out of the general fund to actually move to actually pay for that.
Because it was not budgeted for this year. That is correct.
And I mean, I do. I'm not a big fan of the bills. I cannot stand bills, but I remember growing up as a kid, that we would turn the water on. And there was one time, like fish bones actually came out of our faucet. I mean, and it wasn't too long ago, we were seeing people posting on Facebook. They would run a bath and their whole bathtub was dirt. And so, again, I'm not a fan of this, but it's something that we have to consider, and not increasing it more, but just maintaining to where we can actually budget to make repairs where before we couldn't. I mean, so that's something to consider.
I'm gonna do the hard part here. I'm gonna make a motion that we accept this, and with the understanding that the money that we have had it raised, and I'm paying it just like everybody else is, and it seems a little painful when it comes, that because we are being billed for water, sewer, CIP, there's multiple things on there. So it's a comprehensive bill of all those things that hold this up. And if it hasn't been taking care of itself, the one thing I would hope that we as a council can do is get these things lined out, get them paying for themselves, and start, moving our budget forward balanced, and being able to use some monies to make some improvements in the city itself. So I am eternally grateful. I did not have to live with the muddy water. I moved in after those lines were replaced, but I make a motion that we accept this as written, to yearly come back and take a look at this. And if we don't need to raise it, we won't. If we do, to keep things floating, we'll take a look at it yearly. So I make a motion that we accept item number 17.
I second.
May I just noticed a rounding error on the resolution. It is correct in the schedule itself. But the commercial rate for Sewer should be 1338, just like the residential rate. So it is correct in the schedule, but not correct in the resolution. If we could include that update in the resolution motion, that would be great.
I don't know how to say all
Like-
that, what she said,
With the correction as stated.
as with the correction as stated.
Perfect. Thank you.
Just as correction as stated.
Yes.
Mayor Hickman,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Morgan,
No.
Councilmember Gully,
Yes.
and Councilmember Barton.
Yes.
Okay, that motion passes. Going on to line item 18, consideration of acceptance, approval, adoption, rejection, amendment, and/or postponement of Resolution 25-5-6, amending the fee schedule for the water and sewer rates. Ms. Andrea?
So this is the companion item that would adjust the fee schedule and allow for this review to take place. As a matter of fact, I think we skipped item 17.
Oh, did I miss one? I apologize.
So the motion that was just made was actually for item number 18. We need to go back to item number 17.
Okay, I apologize.
No, don't. It is all connected. Number 17 would be the ordinance that would put it into the municipal code to actually look at the CPI on an annual basis and then make a determination on
Okay,
adjustments.
gotcha. I make the motion to approve the ordinance 25-5-2.
Second.
Who was in second?
Evelyn?
Ms. Gully.
Mayor Hickman,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Morgan,
No.
Councilwoman, or Councilmember Gully,
Yes.
and Councilmember Barton.
Yes.
Okay. So that ordinance, so that will approve us to be able to look at it annually, so. And then we've approved item number 18. Moving on to item number 21, consideration of acceptance, approval, adoption, rejection, amendment, and/or postponement to approve of a purchase agreement of July 4th fireworks display. Ms. Andrea?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was contacted by the supplier of our July 4th fireworks that in the change in city managers that appears to have not been handled in a timely fashion. So I'm bringing this item to the city council for approval. It is the same vendor that we have used in the past. And he was amenable to holding on for just a second until we can get this approved. Again, as I said before, this exceeded the authority of the city manager, and so it is brought to the city council for approval. It is for the 4th of July display at the lake for the festivities that we have at that time.
How much is the budget toward that?
Budgeted was $37,500, and so this contract came in just a little under. Fireworks are very expensive.
37,000?
We have the best, let's just say.
So it should be a great show, right? Fingers
So
crossed.
long as there's no rain, yes.
So as long as there's no rain. I make the motion to approve the purchase agreement. Your discussion? Is there discussion?
I make a second that motion.
It used to be $10,000.
I so wish it would be, yes, I know.
Oh,
Well, yeah, discussion on that. Besides the city doing it once a year, I think Extremes did it also 1 year, the last several years. I hadn't
Yes.
gone over there.
They do a fantastic show.
mhm.
Fantastic. But they also have a senator that helps to put that show on.
Do we still, do you remember when we stood at the railroad tracks and we have boots, fireman boots, and collect money
I
for
think the
this?
chamber did that.
Yeah.
Do we, the chamber did? Yeah. So is that helping pay for this?
That's a good question. That's a good question.
Yeah. If they're collecting money, is that money paying for this? Or is this straight out of our budget?
It is straight out of the general fund budget this
So
time.
why did we collect the money?
Not for the fireworks.
Is it gonna be at Nichols Point again?
Yes.
I might want to take a look at that for next year.
Yeah.
Just some-
But that's what's in within the budget? Okay. Okay.
ready for your-
Well, it's going to be a great show, everybody.
All right, so.
Yeah.
Mayor Hickman,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Morgan,
Yes.
Councilmember Gully,
Yes.
and Councilmember Barton.
No. That's too much money. Let Extreme do it.
We'll work on something for next year.
Yeah.
We'll be working on this.
All right, moving on to line item 22, consideration of acceptance, approval, adoption, rejection, amendment, and/or postponement to approve an engagement letter with Municipal Judge Gregory Stidham.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Title 11 of the Oklahoma statutes gives the city council the authority to appoint a municipal judge. It has come to my attention in working through the next year's budget that we currently do not have any contractual agreement with our current municipal judge. And so this is a very simple engagement agreement that clarifies terms for both involved parties. I had discussed this particular engagement letter with Judge Stidham, and he is in agreement and has already signed it. So again, this is for the municipal judge services that he is currently providing for the city. There is not to be intended any change in that, just simply reducing it to writing in a contractual document for auditing purposes and for budgeting purposes.
Is this something that is done yearly, annually?
It can be done yearly, annually. It actually has a renewal term that unless either party decides to cancel it 30 days prior to the renewal, it just automatically carries forward.
Okay.
Do I hear a motion?
I make a motion to pass item number 22, engagement letter with Municipal Judge Gregory Stidham.
I second.
Mayor Hickman,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Morgan,
Yes.
Councilmember Gully,
Yes.
and Councilmember Barton.
I'm going to have to abstain. We're using Mr. Stidham as for our trust, family trust.
That motion passes. Item number 23, consideration of acceptance, approval, adoption, rejection, amendment, and/or postponement to approve an engagement letter with City Attorney Kay Robbins Wall. Ms. Andre?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Very similar to what I had discovered for our municipal judge. We also do not have a current contractual agreement with our very own city attorney. However, in subsequent conversation with Ms. Kay, it was discovered that there may be more involved than just the monthly fee that we are paying her. And so if the city council would like to give the floor to the city attorney to kind of elaborate on that.
In addition to the dollar amount, for many years I've had my insurance paid, and Valerie is on vacation. She's not here tonight to tell us the value of that. So if we could strike that until the June meeting, Valerie and Miss Andre and I this week will iron out the value of that. You'll have a more detailed attachment.
Okay.
So I'm asking you to strike that tonight because it only has the part that I get a check on monthly.
Okay.
I make a motion, we strike number 23.
if we defer, then it will automatically be placed on the next agenda. If we strike it, it would be removed. So
Strike it to the
Well,
next. To the next.
Is it going to be on, we have a meeting Wednesday. It's not going to be on that one, so
refer it to the next regularly scheduled agenda.
that'd be fine.
Strike it to the next, no.
Refer.
Refer it to the next general meeting, which will be in June.
Yes.
Yes.
And I would second that. Mayor Hickman,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Morgan,
Yes.
Councilmember Gully,
Yes.
and Councilmember Barton.
Yes.
Okay, that item passes. Consideration of acceptance, approval, adoption, rejection, amendment, and/or postponement of Resolution 25-5-7, authorizing Mayor James Hickman to cast a ballot for the 2025 Oklahoma Municipal Assurance Group, OMAG, election of 2 trustees.
Mr. Mayor, council members, the Oklahoma Municipal Assurance Group is our insurance pool. It is not an insurance provider per se, but it is our insurance pool. So we have joined forces with a whole bunch of municipalities across Oklahoma, and OMAG provides insurance to us because it is notoriously difficult to insure parks and recreation and police. And then lo and behold, if you have a pool, then it gets really tricky on top of that. So OMAG has been providing this service, not just to us, but many cities and towns across Oklahoma. They are governed by a board of trustees. And at this point in time, the trustee election is up. So they had sent us the ballot that was included in your agenda package. There are 2 incumbents, Lindsay Grigmoke and Vicki Patterson, who have been on the Board of Trustees for some time. But there are also some additional candidates who would like to be elected to the Board of Trustees. And so it is incumbent on the city as a member of OMAG to cast its vote. I cannot provide any guidance because I am related to one of the candidates on the ballot. So I will not provide any guidance at all because it would not be right.
I make a motion that we authorize Mayor James Hickman to cast the ballot for the 2025 Oklahoma Municipal Assurance Group, OMAG election.
I second it.
Mayor Hickman,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Morgan,
Yes.
Councilmember Gully,
Yes.
and Councilmember Barton.
Okay.
Yes.
That passes. I will make you guys proud on that vote. Item number 25, consideration, acceptance, approval, adoption, rejection, amendment, and/or postponement to approve ordinance 25-5-3, rescinding ordinance 24-1-1, mobile food vendors.
Mr. Mayor, and then I
Yes.
know that we have a member of the public who would like to speak to this item. Let me just provide the background information for this. There was a permit application for this particular item, and it did not go smoothly. And so I was conferring with our staff who was doing the permitting, and then read the actual ordinance that put this in place and discovered that it was impractical and not enforceable in its current state. It should still be done, but it will require careful selection of the language, because what it tried to do, it was trying to govern food trucks and pop-up food stands all with the same rules and regulations. And as you can imagine, the requirements for a food truck should look different than the requirements for a pop-up food stand.
Yes.
And unfortunately, this particular ordinance that was passed in January of last year did not take that into consideration. So while I did not have enough time to research all of the language that would allow that differentiation between the different levels of food vending, it is in the best interest to rescind this ordinance altogether and allow staff time to really put a good ordinance in place. What I can tell you is that food safety itself was not governed but it was incorporated into the ordinance. So food safety will still be ensured just by virtue of the Oklahoma Department of Health or the Oklahoma Department of Agriculture, Food and Forestry, depending on what vending license is applied for. They still govern food security. So even though the city may not be able to provide a permit for food vending at this time, it does not affect food safety for our residents. And so I'd be happy to answer any questions, but I also know that we have a member of the public who would like to speak to this.
Yeah, and I would like to say too, I received multiple concerns about this, and I remember one of the issues why this was passed was because there were food trucks that were not paying sales tax. And however, it doesn't seem like this achieved the goal. It actually did the opposite of what we were trying to achieve. And
It
so,
does show that language is important.
yes.
in
And so,
this.
yes, Amanda Schultz.
I am apparently the pot stirrer. I apologize. I am the owner of a recently incorporated business. We picked the business that we chose was to make it scalable. And we were very excited to potentially bring our first event to the city of Eufaula because our friends are here. We're not residents of Eufaula, but our friends are here. They were really excited and we were not able to. And not only were we not able to bring sales tax revenue to your city, we were met with what felt like a very, I don't want to say hostile interaction, but it was not friendly. It was not friendly, and it made me not want to do business here because of how we were treated and how we were interacted with. And it started with the phone call that I made to inquire about being legitimate, doing things the right way, the way your city wanted. And I asked a lot of questions. I tried to do right by the health department and by the city, and it didn't work out. And that has been the story for multiple people. And it is not a friendly process. It is not one that makes anybody feel good about doing business here. And I think that's a conversation that needs to be had as well. I think I had a very good conversation on the phone. Like we definitely came to some really good conclusions. And I don't mind taking the brunt of that if it means the next person doesn't have to go through what some of us have tried to attempt and fail at. It just has been an awful experience. And as a new business owner, it is disheartening to know that the community that you invest in and you spend money in and you spend time in is almost hostile towards that endeavor. And it's not the citizens. They want us here. They want to support us. They were excited for us to be here, but it just didn't work out. And this is somebody I called Nick at the health department from your lobby to ensure that I was not misinformed on my steps and proper protocol for him because I was told that I was wrong. I didn't know what I was talking about. And I have been hyper vigilant to make sure that I was in accord with the state of Oklahoma. So my comment to that is a clear, concise process with not only an application, but the rules attached to that application so that there is no confusion about what that process looks like, because there's a lot of confusion right now about what this process looks like. And it's sad because we want to bring tax revenue to your town. Obviously, you need it. I mean, I hate to be blunt, but obviously your city needs tax revenue. Why are you making a process so hard for us to give you money, to bring people to your town from other towns, to interact with businesses and their friends and support their small businesses? Why is this process so inherently difficult? It makes no sense. It's not anything I've encountered with any other town that I've interacted with. They're excited when you want to bring a business, when you want to do something, when you want to interact with their public, when you want to give them money. This is the only place I have encountered that, and I don't understand it. But I think it's a conversation that you guys really need to have. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And yes,
As Councillor Gully said, words matter greatly, and this ordinance was not well drafted. It had a certain intent which it did not meet, and in the process, it created a rule and regulation that was not enforceable, and was frustrating to all sides involved, because once a rule is in place and the city does not enforce it, then it's also bad. So this rule was just bad, and
Yeah.
I highly recommend that it be rescinded immediately and we start from scratch and make it workable, because it was not.
yeah.
Let's start that process right now. Let's rescind ordinance 25-5-3 and ordinance 24-1-1 for mobile food vendors. Let's get it off the books.
And I would like to second that, and with the comment of, we should not be making it difficult to do business in Eufaula at all, at all. And so I will second that.
Mayor Hickman,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Morgan,
Yes.
Councilmember Gully,
Yes.
and Councilmember Barton.
Yes.
And the item B, the emergency clause. Do I hear a motion for that?
Make a motion to pass the emergency clause, item B.
I'll second.
Mayor Hickman,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Morgan,
Yes.
Councilmember Gully,
Yes.
and Councilmember Barton.
Yes.
Okay, by power of the chair, I would ask that the city council move to items number 29 and 30 before recessing to the Eufaula Public Works and then returning to item number 26 and 31. So remarks and queries by the city council? Do I hear any?
I have a remark.
Yes.
I second what James said. We should never make it hard or undesirable for anyone to want to do business in Eufaula. That's how we pay our bills, is by small businesses and large businesses. That's how we get more people into town just to enjoy the lake as well. We have people that are wanting to spend money, and we need to get them in town off the water. We want them downtown spending money. So I'm glad that this council is going to work on making that process transparent and friendly and business-minded.
Yes. And I would second that in a big way. And I would also say that for those who have already had bad experiences, it's hard to fix that once it's happened, because I've been a small business owner myself before. And when you got a dream, you're running towards it, we do have to follow ordinances, but we should never be afraid to pull something back that is not working.
Yeah.
If
Yes.
it doesn't work, let's rewrite it and make it workable, and let's grow.
Yeah.
And I would like to also make on that as well, like I've received multiple phone calls regarding just that same experience that was spoken by Miss Amanda, is that, it is difficult, but it can come across hostile when dealing with a certain city and parts of it. And, I want you to know, I definitely hear what you're saying, and I have heard the comments spoken by the people. And we have to remember, as a city, we want to work to serve one another as well, and to make sure that it's fair both ways, for everyone, like you're saying with the ordinances, and, that will be definitely addressed, because we definitely want great customer service with the city, and we want it to be a joy to work with, especially as we're looking at doing business here in Eufaula as well. So that is all I have.
I have a comment I'd like to address. At a citizen lives at 1812 Sunset Drive, Bob Cunningham. There's a home being built south of him, which is within the city limits. Having problems with drainage. Of course, we've had a lot of rain and everything, but apparently the people building the home covered the drainage ditch. So I'd like for the code enforcement officer of Public Works to go look at that and see if they can do anything about that. Also, we have a drainage problem again on Palmer and Lackey Drive in Eufaula. water coming off, and we have a drainage that is stopped up most of the time, so that needs to be addressed also. But again, because of all the rain we're having, the weeds are growing. And so on Palmer and Gilbert Drive in the city limits, they need to be.
Palmer and Lackey.
Palmer and Lackey, yes, I'm sorry, yeah, Palmer and Lackey needs to be weeds be cut. And that happens every year, so.
I took notes and I will pass that on to the appropriate staff. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other announcements?
Do we have any events for Memorial Day happening around the city? Can't think of nothing.
I don't know. I've been so steeped in budget. I have not looked up.
Well, I'd like to say something about this, and she's going to be leaving us
Oh, yes.
this week. She's been with us 2 months, and she's really accomplished a lot. So
much.
a lot of things that
Yes.
we needed to change and we needed to update, and really do appreciate the effort that you've done for us. Appreciate that.
Yes.
Yes.
And good luck.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, you have been a blessing, so. Okay, we're going to move on to the Public Works. And then we'll come back to the other items, and we'll take a quick recess after that too. All matters listed on the consent agenda are routine by the Public Works Authority will be enacted by one motion. Therefore, there will not be a separate discussion of these items. However, if a discussion is desired, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. The item will then be placed in its proper order on the regular meeting agenda and will be considered at that time. I forgot to take the roll call. Probably need to do that as well. Okay, roll call now.
Okay. Mayor Hickman,
Here.
Vice Mayor Morgan,
Here.
Councilmember Gully. Here. Councilmember Barton,
Here,
and Councilmember Vaughn is absent.
Okay. Moving on to line item number 2, approval of the minutes, a regular meeting, April 7th, 2025. Item 3, approval of the April 2025 payroll figures for the Eufaula Public Works Authority in the amount of $52,852.28. Receipt of April claims, Eufaula Public Works Authority. Item 5, acknowledgement of Resolution 25-5-6, amending the fee schedule for water and sewer rates.
I make a motion that we accept the consent agenda for the Eufaula Public Works Authority.
I second.
Mayor Hickman,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Morgan,
Yes.
Councilmember Barton,
yes,
and Councilmember Gully.
Okay. Item 6, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
motion adjourned.
I second.
Mayor Hickman,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Morgan,
Yes.
Councilmember Gully.
Yes.
And Councilmember Barton.
Yes.
Okay. Now moving on and returning to number 26. In the regular meeting, consideration of acceptance, approval, adoption, rejection, amendment, and/or postponement to move into executive session pursuant to 25 OS subsection 307B1, discussion related to city manager, interim city manager, and the employment, hiring, appointment, promotion, demotion, discipline, or resignation of any individual salary, public officer, or employee specifically as listed below. Do I read both A and B? Okay. To conduct interviews, qualified candidates for interim city manager position, discuss the appointment of an individual to serve this role and set salary. B, to establish a search process for a city manager, including but not limited to advertising qualification and salary.
Motion to go into executive session.
I second.
Mayor Hickman,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Morgan,
Yes.
Councilmember Gully,
Yes.
Councilmember Barton.
Yes.
Okay, we'll move into executive session. Yes, yes.
Okay, we got to get a picture with y'all before we adjourn. So good to see you. When are you going to be back? 4th of July?
You have missed it, have you?
And this text